earlier?
A lot of it will depend on how fast the field is and how fast we are compared to it. If we're really fast, then we can pit just about any time you want. If we're slow and we're struggling and we're about even with everybody else, we'll probably pit as early as possible.
At Syracuse, New York, the field rolls off the front straightaway in the climax of a 5-day spectacular. It's an orgy of auto racing here at Syracuse, New York, much like the one that occupies a week in February at Daytona Beach. Super modified, sprint cars, small block modifieds, and these automobiles. The star attraction of Super Dirt Week in the Miller American 200, the modifieds, set to roll for their 200-kilometer, 125-mile event. We'll look at the starting lineup. On the pole, 32.02-second time trial for Billy Pouch out of Stockton, New Jersey, the Flemington Speedway champion.
That car is entirely crewed by a volunteer group. It's owned by a mechanic and a CPA.
Ken Johnson occupies the outside pole. He's from Irwina, Pennsylvania. The 64 race team machine just 0.3 of a second off the pole speed.
Keep an eye on him. He's only run here twice. One time he finished 5th, and the other time he ran here, he flipped the car.
Brett Hearn starts in 3rd. He's the defending champion of this race, and he also won the Sun Country Cooler Super Dirt qualifying series. 6 victories in those 15 events.
He has a brand new car, and for the majority of the crowd, he is the favorite to win.
And there you see on the left of your screen the man who Hearn eclipsed last year. Bob McCready appeared to have the race in the bag, but as Jerry Garrett told you, meeting McCready early in this show, late pit stop hurt his chances. He finished 3rd. Back in 5th will be Doug Hoffman of Allentown, Pennsylvania in the 125 car. And 6th, Mike McLaughlin, an interesting story as he returns to the dirt track.
He has not raced on dirt for an entire year. The last time he did race on dirt was right here. The car is an interesting story. The front half was salvaged from a devastating wreck here, and the back half is brand new.
In the 7th spot, Lou Blaney of Hartford, Ohio. Steve Botcher of Pennsylvania will start 8th. In the 5th row, Fritz Eppright of Somerville, New Jersey, and sentimental favorite of many, Tommy Corellis from East Greenbush, New York. In row 6, Harold Bunning, 25-year racing veteran in Delaware, who'll hang up his helmet after today. And Jack Johnson, a 2-time winner, will start 12th. 13th will be Tom Mayberry with Tom Wilson 14th. The 8th row, Kevin Collins and Carl Collis, both from Pennsylvania. Canadian Harvey Haynier Jr. and John Birush from New York in the 9th row. In 10, it's Dick Larkin and Ken Bren Jr. In the 11th row, Stan Plosky Jr. from New Jersey and Charlie Rudolph of New York State. Jimmy Horton from Hamilton, New Jersey starts 23rd with Gene Bick in the 12th row. He's from Amsterdam, New York. In row 13, Chuck Akulis from Windsor, New York, and Pete McNell racing out of Canada. Dan Johnson of New York State along with Ken Tremont in row number 14. The 15th row has Joe Plazik and Rick Jeffrey. Richie Urich is in 16 along with Freddie Brightbill, with Kenny Brightbill right behind, sharing the 17th row with Alan Johnson. Wiley Will Cagle, here's a story. 18th row for Cagle. He stepped into this car at the last minute.
He did, and he got the thing in the program. This car first ran here in 1980 and absolutely devastated the field. It was 2 seconds faster than anybody else. It created a set of rules that have caused the modifieds to look the way they do now. They have reworked it, and Cagle got it in the field.
Cagle is 35th. He shares that 18th row with Rich Burgess. Mike Romano and Brian Stevens in the 19th row. 39th and 40th, Frank Cozy and Maynard Ferret. Then it's Gary Golub and C.D. Coville, Eddie Marshall and Chuck McKee in row 22, Carl Fuzzy Van Horn with Jack Cottrell, Kevin Bolin and Davey Moore. They came in through the semifinal events. And this morning, the consolation race, Dave Lape, Mike Barlow and Mark Fleury qualified, and the final spot went to a driver not otherwise qualified through vote of the press. Don McGuinness got the nod, and he'll be way back, shotgun on the field, 52nd starting position.
It's a long ways to go from the back of that pack. This is one of the biggest starting fields in all of automobile racing.
There is the pole sitter Billy Pouch, who blistered around this racetrack at 32.02 seconds. And if you can win this auto race, for these drivers, it's like winning Daytona. The names that went to victory lane in the early years: Buzzy Ruderman, first-time winner and 2-time winner; Billy Osmond, Dick Tobias, Gary Ballou, Jack Johnson, Merv Treichler, Alan Johnson, and last year Brett Hearn. It's kind of like a Hall of Fame of dirt track racing. If you win Syracuse, you've had a good year, no matter what else happened.
You may have had a good career, never mind a good year, Mike. This is definitely the pinnacle for all of these people. This is certainly the most important race of the year for every driver on the speedway right now.
One driver making a late stop. That's a look at Corellis, Tommy Corellis' car, as he moves up and into position once again as we're getting just a lap away from the start here at Syracuse, New York. There's the Corvette pace car that awaits the winner, leading the field past as they're up into turn number 3. And next time past, they will be looking for the green flag. Last year's race went to Hearn after McCready led 59 laps, made a late pit stop, could not come back up through the field. He wound up third, Hearn the winner. 2 years ago, Jack Johnson led 87 of the race's 125 laps on the way to victory. In 1983, Merv Treichler, Alan Johnson, Pete Bicknell all led 20 laps or more. There's a look back in the field. That's the car of Jimmy Horton, hoping to come up from a successful career as a small block modified, a 320 cubic inch modified racer, and do well here at Syracuse.
Alan Johnson is going to have to start absolutely scratch on the field. While the field was forming up, Johnson decided to have consultation with his pit crew. He pulled into the pit area. He is now going to be the last man on the field. He is a former winner here, and that car really goes well. So he's got his work cut out for him, but he's still got a possibility of winning.
There is Alan Johnson moving along. He will now be in the 52nd position as he pulls up there next to Mark Fleury. We'll have a long way to go and 125 laps to get there. The cars must make one pit stop. Be interesting to see the strategy employed, early or late. Take on 2 tires, 3, or perhaps none at all. Go out and try to outlast the field, or wait, stop late as McCready did last year, and then try to blast your way through the pack. It's a sprint race. It's a strategy race. There's Mike McLaughlin, the black car on the outside of the screen. The dirt driver turned asphalt driver. Now he's back on dirt as he lines up against Doug Hoffman. Here comes the field for 125 laps of racing. Green flag flies. It's going to be Pouch and Hearn down into turn number 1. Billy Pouch, the pole sitter, leads on the brake. They're 2, occasionally 3 wide, heading off into that turn 1. It's like coming down an airport runway and turning left into the width of a single-car garage to get through the first corner here. They're in 3. Pouch is the leader, Hearn right with him. And back in 3rd, Ken Johnson is in the 3rd spot. In 4th is Doug Hoffman, and in 5th, Bob McCready. To lead the first lap, Billy Pouch with Brett Hearn. They're back in turn 1, still single file back through about the 12th position.
Most of the field has now sorted out. This is not an easy racetrack to pass on. You certainly do not want to go through the 2nd corner and probably not even into the 3rd corner side by side with anybody. So there is a lot of shuffling on the restarts and of course on the original start as well for people to try to fall into line here.
There's the advantage, 2x2 off the 4th corner. Pouch with Hearn. There's the front pairing as they come down the front straightaway. Back in 3rd, Ken Johnson. There's a look at Pouch as he got inside a little too close in turn 1. Almost scraped the rail. You saw him have to change his line, and as he did so and corrected, the car got way loose on him. Hearn sits 10 car lengths behind. It's another 12 lengths back to the 3rd spot, Ken Johnson. There's Johnson, and you see moving into the screen, number 125, Doug Hoffman, trying to move up and challenge for that 3rd spot. 3rd and 4th coming off the corner. Horton, the winner of 2 qualifying races on the season. He's in that white 125. He has started 4 times among the top 6 here as the first 6 fastest cars qualify on the first day of time trials. The white car with the yellow roof right side of your screen is Bob McCready. He's the 5th place machine.
You can see how these cars lean going through the corners. The suspensions are very washy in them. And the object of these drivers is to try to get the car to lean over on the right rear tire, and they really do run pretty much off the right rear tire.
3rd, 4th, and 5th, Ken Johnson heading Doug Hoffman and Bob McCready. Here's McCready looking to the outside as Hoffman moves up and challenges for 3rd, and they almost rub wheels going into the corner. Sideways goes Hoffman to the outside. He draws even as they come off 2. Out into turn number 3, and Hoffman moves up and garners the 3rd spot.
And he really did it the hard way. There is no more difficult place to pass at this racetrack than doing what Hoffman just accomplished. That proves Hoffman is hooked up.
Hoffman now 3rd on the left side of your screen. Here's a look at the leader once again, Billy Pouch, the Flemington Speedway champion for 1986. He won the Flemington qualifying race there. Alan Johnson, who started back in 52nd spot after making that consultation stop before the green flag, has gone past 10 machines, That's how difficult it is to pass here. He was 52nd. He is up to 42nd and still has a long way to go. There's the man they call A.J. Slideways, Alan Johnson, the 1983 winner here at Syracuse. He won a qualifying race at Rolling Wheels Raceway and had 2 runner-up finishes in the qualifying trail.
It's a brand new automobile. They started building that thing around Labor Day weekend. They didn't want to get going on it until the absolute last race before this one had been run. They wanted to steal everybody's ideas, and that is what they have incorporated into that 14J.
There's the separation. Billy Pauch back to Brett Hearn, first to second. Third place car is now Doug Hoffman. Ken Johnson dropping to fourth. Back into the corner. Pauch, thus far uncontested, got a good break on the start. And you see this time he's entering turn 1, perhaps 2 or 3 feet away from that rail.
Interesting story on that car, Mike. A month ago, that automobile was in the barn as a bare frame. The crew went to work on it, and it took them a little bit longer to do things than they thought it might. Last week, in fact, they really weren't quite finished with the car, and on Tuesday night of last week, they had fully 22 people all working on the car at one time. The car owner said this thing looked like a General Motors assembly line with all these people trying to assemble it at one time.
Billy Pauch once said running a race at Syracuse is akin to having a root canal. He's not finished well here. Here's McCready on the way up. McCready running in the 5th spot. As well documented, led a lot of the race here last year, didn't win it, wound up 3rd. Very radical approach. As this racetrack surface has dictated, he's made wholesale changes on that race car this weekend. We'll talk more about that in a moment as the leader gets into race traffic. Billy Pauch catching some of the tail enders in the field. And this is where things get very tricky. There is Don McGinnis' car that the leader is seeking to lap. And we'll look for the second place machine of Brett Hearn. There is Pauch going off the screen. 25 car lengths is his advantage over Brett Hearn. A lot of smoke out of one car. That's Plazek, the number 1A of Joe Plazek. Appears he may be the first car out of the Miller 200.
That pile of smoke ordinarily means that an engine has expired. Those engines, by the way, are worth about $18,000 or $19,000, and when they go up in that much smoke, there is, generally speaking, very little that can be saved from it.
Plazek doesn't even go to pit road. He heads right for the garage. Mark Fleury is the 52 car. The leader is seeking to pass, and here is Brett Hearn. Hearn makes a break for the lead in traffic, as Pauch's lead simply evaporated. And you see quickly as he gets past Fleury, and now Hearn's second spot is in doubt. Hoffman is there. Mark Fleury, the moving chicane in front of the second place car. Around comes Hearn, and he will hold on to that second slot, but Hoffman gave him quite a struggle as they tried to lap past Mark Fleury. There's a look at Hearn, the second place machine. He's won virtually everything in dirt track racing this year, 32 feature victories. Coming into the Miller 200 in 1986. Pauch on your left, Hearn on the right side of your screen. One lap cars separate them. There is Hoffman in the 125. Doug Hoffman trying to come up and challenge the Nazareth Speedway champion for 1986. Hoffman in car 125, a brand new Olson chassis and 100 horsepower.
And a man named Bud Olson has got to be watching this with great interest. He built both of those cars, the number 20 and the number 125. They are both essentially identical automobiles, and both of those drivers are factory drivers. They do a lot of testing for that car manufacturer.
Hearn's car, the primary Olson house car, holding on to that second slot. There is Brett Hearn. Heavy race traffic still awaits the leader. When 52 cars start, that is bound to be the order of the day for much of the race, even on a track as large as Syracuse. One of the few opportunities that these drivers get to run on a 1-mile racetrack are the 3 events here annually. Here's Alan Johnson, who has climbed his way up into the 30s in the running order. Billy Taylor, the crew chief for Alan Johnson. What a talented man, helped Jeff Bodine to many, many NASCAR modified victories on pavement. Now crews for Alan Johnson, who also has putter power. There is Steve Botcher on pit road, the 97 car, early in the event. Perhaps too early. Interesting story on that car.
Yeah, it sure is, and there's an interesting story on yet another car. Horton has gone in the pits, and he is parked.
This car, understand, is owned by a fellow who hit the lottery and went racing.
He sure did. That's what he did with his lottery money, Mike. He went out and bought the car and decided this is time to go have a good time with it, and this is the way he chose to have his fun.
Tough break for Jimmy Horton, the Granby and 5-mile point qualifying winner. The pole winner here in 1982 has had his car pushed to the garage area. Billy Pouch continues to lead. Brett Hearn, though, is having the pressure applied. Doug Hoffman is the man, and Hoffman in that 125 car, the Nazareth champion, trying to take over second spot. Here's the race leader, Billy Pouch, about to get back into traffic, and caution is on the speedway. There's a look at Brett Hearn as he rounds past Brian Stevens on the way to the caution flag. One car is very slow against the apron in turn 4. That's the reason for the caution.
Now, this is only early in the race. It's too early in the race, in fact, for anybody to really want to make their pit stop. You can pretty well count on everybody making one stop and one stop only. And a good place to start looking for it is not too far from now. They've got a window that most of these competitors have decided they can use. They can't pit too early. They can't pit too late.
That looks like Gary Golub's car that is parked at the entrance of turn number 4. And that will take Golub from the race, the number 95 machine. Pace car is in. Hard on the throttle comes Hearn. You see the dirt fly out of turn number 4. Hearn is going to have 2 lapped cars separating him from the field as he comes down the front straightaway, and we're back under green. Alan Johnson will go a lap down as he's made a pit stop under the caution, and a tangle as they get down into the corner. A mad scramble at turn 1. Everybody breaks through.
Well, barely. They were 4 or 5 wide going through that first corner at one point.
Into turn number 3. Pouch on the advantage. He has enjoyed it since they dropped the green flag, starting from the pole. Here's Harold Bunning, and he has come through the pack in a hurry. Bunning, 25 years in racing. He'll hang